And welcome back to the Midday Show. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Mark, I hope you had a great weekend. How are things going?
Well, it wasn't as great as some other people's weekends, but, you can just, we'll get to that here a little later on. I'll tease it with that. Now, speaking of tease, we'll go to our first story. And this, I just want to bring this up right away because this is ridiculous. Obviously the Suez Canal thing and the boat that's stuck and the New York Post, there are aspects of journalism that are just, sex sells, and they're trying to be sensationalistic just to get you to buy it or to read it or to turn your head. So the New York Post puts out this headline that says, ship carrying sex toys among hundreds blocked vessels in Suez Canal. Now, so there's hundreds of blocked ships. It is costing, what did we say, $10 billion a day is what it's hurting the world economy. And because one of these ships is carrying 20 crates of sex toys, that's what the New York Post ran their headline with, knowing that people all over the country who saw this would talk about it because they think it's funny, including two morons from central Pennsylvania, where they've hooked us, and here we open with it. But this is why the first sentence, if this doesn't win them a Pulitzer Prize, I don't know what it is. The first sentence says, a happy ending appears to be in sight for the hundreds of ships blocked by the massive container ship in the Suez Canal. A happy ending, just brilliance. Brilliance. There's more. It gets a little more graphic, and it is printed in the New York Post, so we could read it if we wanted to. I don't think we will, but I just wanted to go with that. That there's hundreds of ships that are blocked, that are just anchored, just fishing off the side, passing the time, and the New York Post finds one with sex toys in it, and let's run with that.
Can you fish outside of the Suez Canal? Is that a real thing?
Who knows? I don't know.
Here, you'll appreciate this because this is how quirky I am. There were debates on TikTok about how to get the boat unstuck. And you can imagine the professionalism and the amount of intelligence on some of the TikToks that I managed to see. But after watching some of them, some of the strategies and different ways people were talking about it was pretty impressive ways to get it unstuck. So there was one guy who had talked about like, you attach two ropes and you've got the anchors and then you pulled from opposite directions and then, you got it. And I was like I learned a ton, like watching people demonstrate how they would actually get this boat unstuck in the Suez Canal. The other thing that I learned too is how fragile the markets are. I've obviously, in the last couple of years, I've dove into them, and it is amazing how one boat being stuck in the Suez Canal can just throw the entire world market into chaos.
It's a big boat, though. Did you see the one? There was a meme I saw. It had a picture, an overhead picture of the boat, like at a 45-degree angle, and it had two cans of WD-40 at each side. It's like, this is how we can unstick it. That was my favorite one.
I got a really great text from a family member, and at our family farm, there's like a lake, and we have the paddle boats. And if you've ever driven a paddle boat, there's like the thing in the middle, and it doesn't really you got to kind of like jam it, and when you finally do get it to go, you like really veer like one way or the other. And they were joking about how there must have been a paddle boat handle and the guy must have jerked it too hard and the ship must have veered to the left. So we had a little bit of fun with it that way too.
I wonder what happens to the guy. I really want to know what happens. And was it just somebody who was stupid? I heard wind, but has there been some like backup, ship, the ship captain assistant who they've just been screaming at for a week, like, you stupid son of a, what is wrong with you? So right. Anyway.
Well, that would be the worst part is it's not like a car hitting a traffic sign and you just kind of back it up. And I mean, as it's happening, they must be ghost white as it's happening. Yes. And you just can't do anything about it.
Nope.
So American Idol, we talked about this before. Beane, who is a local here from Williamsport, attended Loyalsock High School. He made, after almost not getting through the original tryout rounds, he is officially in the top 24 for American Idol after his rendition was aired last night.
So here was my thought. And now I can't even remember the title of the song. It was a Marvin Gaye song. What's Going On? Is that what he did?
What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. He did he didn't really veer off from it, but it felt like new. Like it felt like his version. He did a really nice job. That's not an easy song.
He's different. I mean, he's unique, and you know, in the world of singers, he's not a lounge singer. He's not like, he's kind of got his own vibe going. The thing that I thought about it when I was watching is, there's lots of songs you can pick, and you know, there's great singers, but then there's Marvin Gaye. And like, if you're going to pick one, and it might be a song that these guys love, but they're like, you know, if you're a chick and you want to do a Whitney Houston song, and your first thought is, I can't do a Whitney Houston song justice, then I can understand that. And to go after a Marvin Gaye song, I don't know where Marvin Gaye ranks on the all-time male vocalist, but there aren't many ahead of him. So to tackle a song that's this, you know, that takes guts. Obviously, to be on Idol and to do all this stuff takes guts anyway. But that's what I was impressed with, because I'm hearing this starting through, and I'm like, that's Marvin Gaye. So that, you know, I tip my hat to the kid for that. Obviously, he's incredible. If you haven't seen it, he's incredibly talented, and you know, he's just such a great voice. And again, it doesn't sound like the Marvin Gaye version, but it does sound like the Marvin Gaye. But that was, I tip my hat to him for that, because he really went after. There's a lot of more safer songs that he could have done, and he did.
The thing that kind of stuck with me with the song, not that What's Going On is it a depressive song, but I wouldn't call it like necessarily like a cheery song. Like typically it's kind of like a build up start. He started dancing around the stage, like he just kind of made it his own. And I think his brand is going to be like that cheery, happier style. And so to make What's Going On kind of like a cheerier, kind of like he was dancing across the stage, it's just like you use the word unique. Like I think half the battle with this stuff is standing out, and he has just nailed that. Like his ability. Obviously, he can sing. I think people who knew him before the competition would tell you like he was fantastic. I think what surprised me the most, like hearing about him beforehand, is just how easily he has stood out. His personality, his happiness, the way he's interacted, the songs he's picked, like his ability to just separate himself, I'm really impressed by.
The thing too is he seems, you know, eminently comfortable on stage and in front of the lights, and he's just so freaking likable. Like that is, as you get through, you know, all 24 people can sing, but like all 24 people, and they're not gonna have the personality. There's some that are gonna be incredibly shy and all this stuff. If you just asked the judges, take away all the singing, which of the top 24 do you like the most? Like he is going to rank incredibly high. So he's got a lot going for him. He really, I think he's going to stick around a while. Now we get to the point where everyone's like, well, he can get this far, but he can't win. And those are the debates of this person can win, this person can't, this person. And, you know, you stick around long enough and everybody can win. And that's, you know, I remember when Daughtry seemed like an odds on, and I think he was fourth. And I remember when he got bounced. So I think he's got a lot going for him. I think he's going to stick around a while.
I agree with you, because I think once you're at this point, everyone can sing. You know, there may be like one standout that just is like so far above, but at this point, everyone can sing. It's, can you separate yourself? And I think he's done a really good job of that. Like he's just put himself in a position where people know him. Like the next morning, if you go on social media, like people are talking about Beane. Like he's just done a really nice job of putting himself kind of in that bubble of like, here's the 24, but I'm kind of over here because I'm so different. And I'm, you know, he's done a nice job.
And I think, do they still have this? And I'm not a huge Idol watcher. Will they have later on, they've had like Queen and they've had Bon Jovi and they've had bands like that you have to do one of their songs. Do they still do that as it gets later?
That I'm not sure of.
Because I could see, depending on who it is, like he could come out in black leather ripped T-shirts with the headband and sing a heavy metal song, and it would be fun. And he could pull it off, and he would do it with his own style. Like that's, I think he's got variety in his act that he could pull off because his vocal range is so good. Yeah, he's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's exciting. Let's get to the wheel. That's why most of you are here. We're going to spin the prize wheel today. Just as a reminder, join the Midday Show Facebook group, and you are automatically entered for a chance for your name to be drawn from the group. Go to Facebook, search Midday Show, follow and join along with us. We have some new sponsors coming on, but right now for the month of March, we have Buffalo Wild Wings. If you are watching March Madness, we're down to the Elite Eight. Go to Buffalo Wild Wings, grab some wings as you're watching the games. We have some $25 gift cards from them. We also have Palco Federal Credit Union hooked us up with some Visa gift cards for $25. We also have Eat and Run Catering. We have Moon and Raven. We've got some Boom City ones back there.
And the break room.
We also have the break room. So I am officially, now that the season is over, I'm probably going to move up to the break room here, blow off some steam, let loose a little bit. So I'm going to get up there eventually. But we have $25 gift cards from the break room as well. And any others that you can think of?
I was just going to ask you, you mentioned the Elite Eight. Is the Elite Eight all Pac-12 teams? Is that what happened?
It feels like it.
I think everybody else is eliminated.
It feels like it. Today's random winner from the Facebook group, The Midday Show, is Peggy Lampman. Peggy Lampman, today's Facebook winner from the Midday Show Facebook group. We're going to spin the NCPA prize wheel for. Here we go. Oh, we have a Buffalo Wild Wings gift card. I believe it's our second one. So, Peggy, as you're enjoying the Elite Eight, the Final Four, head down to Buffalo Wild Wings. Enjoy yourself. I've been doing a lot better lately on the prize wheel.
You have been. And I'll tell you, there's something about watching March Madness with Buffalo Wild Wings. It's kind of, they go hand in hand.
They really do. So one more time, Peggy Lampman, congratulations. Buffalo Wild Wings, thank you. And Peggy's going to get to enjoy some wings if she chooses so. I'll let you lead this one in because this one I can't wait to hear this.
Because you don't have anything to say. This is my story. If you don't know that Loyal Sock won, then they did. It was 2 days ago. If you don't know that Jeff is like the top assistant coach who does a lot, then you know. So as we talk through this, as we talk through the playoffs, as we said, public schools aren't. I don't want to say they're not supposed to win, but the odds are so stacked against them because Loyal Sock has to draw from these kids that live in this little circle, and the private schools can go recruit. So they run into some charter school in the quarterfinals, and I was like, Jeff, how bad are you going to get killed? And he's like, oh no, we're almost as good. We're probably like 3-point underdogs. If we played them 10 times, we'd win 4 or 5, and and you win that, and then the next one comes up, and you got Math, Civics, and Science, who's always there, who's like a state power, and you're like, hey, I really think it's a toss-up. We've watched them on film, and they're better this, they're worse this. I think it's a toss-up, and you beat them by 13, and then we get to the last game, and you told me going in, out west, we would love to have the public school win. I know they're not going to, but if we win, we'd rather face the public school, even though they're not going to win, and you won, and they won. So all of a sudden, we're here last week, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm like, Jeff, you're going to kill him, aren't you? And you're like, well, I was like, can I go on and say you're going to kill him? And you're like, please don't. And I was like, but you're gonna. And you know it, and they know it, and everybody knows it. Like, you're going to kill him. And you're just like, please don't say that. Just please don't say that. So at the end, what did they jump out? 5-2? 8-3?
We were down. At one point, it was 8-3 was kind of like that first junction of the game.
And my son sitting there, he goes, uh-oh, this. I was like, don't worry. And then there's a 16-0 run, and you're up by 10 at the end of the first quarter, and never look back. And I was just like, it was just so funny because I was like, Jeff said they're going to kill him. I wasn't allowed to say it, and you didn't come out and say it. But as I was prodding you, you were like, "Well,
yeah,
maybe." So that was what was funny to me. That as I'm sitting there, I'm like, if the world only knew. Like Jeff's sitting on the bench going, "Yeah, this is kind of what I thought. I thought we would win the state championship game by 22. We won the quarterfinals by 3, 4 at the buzzer, and we win the state title by 22. And we're emptying the bench, and freshmen are playing for the last 2 minutes."
It's weird. Like the difference, this is the hardest part to explain to people, is when you're watching film during the regular season versus when you're watching it throughout districts or throughout states. The back of your brain is trying to trick you to tell you that they are better than what they are. So the hard part is trying to like treat the film like you would in January versus states in March. So once I was watching it in that manner, like, because I've been doing this for a while, I felt pretty good about every team we saw. Every team I saw on film was good. I knew that if we didn't play well, we would lose. But I knew if we showed up, like we were in a good spot. And we played 2 really good teams on the east side of the bracket. But Brookville plays hard. I just don't think they had like the horses in the stable to really keep up with us.
There's the farm kid with the horses in the stable.
That's
cliche.
right.
It is funny when you've been around coaches from a lot of things, and I'm sure it's this way in all kinds of competitions, whether it's not just sports, but we have competitions everywhere. But you get some coaches that are just clueless, and then you get some that really get it. And there's times that they walk in and they're like, "No, we're not," because you get coaches that are like, "We can win, and every day we can win." Sometimes you walk in and say, "Oh my God, they are so much better than us." And I remember when I got my district championship. Where is it? Because I wanted to show you that Matorza were champions too. Whoops! I can't even follow. There we go. There it is. And on the district, we hadn't won a district. I mean, you guys win them every year. We hadn't won one in 33 years. And the day of our game, my dad, I was talking to my dad, and I said, we're gonna beat them by 18. And he was like, "What?" I was like, "No, we're gonna kill them. They don't match up well with us. We're gonna kill them." Right. And we won by 16. So there is that level, and that's where you were at last week. Like you weren't nervous. You weren't. I mean, I'm sure you were a little nervous. Like, I hope we don't wet the bed. But you were like, "No, if we play well, we're gonna kill them." And I wanted to say it so badly, and you wouldn't let me because you're oppressive, and my First Amendment rights were crushed. But so that was it. That's what I found funny, and congratulations to you guys. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really do. From
the bottom of your Montorzo warrior heart, I'm sure you.
Absolutely. Now, can we not talk about? I'm happier for the Beane kid from Loyal Sock than you basketball players. How about that?
No, and real quick, congratulations to our players, congratulations to our school district, congrats to CI. Just
baseball season.
And now it's baseball season, which we've won some state championships there too. So we'll see what we can do.
What jock school? Can your kids even read over there? How's that work? Oh, we won't go to Harvard. Whatever. I don't care. All right, what's next?
You wanted to talk about Congressional cancel culture. You made sure that I could even fit it down in the bubble below. So I'll let you kick it off.
Well, I saw this while watching Bill Maher of all things, and it's just ridiculous. This is how crazy the world has gotten. There are 2 Democratic Congress. I think they're both in the House. They have to be both in the House in California, who have basically come out and said, because we talked last week about how Fox News is being sued by that voting machine company, which I can't remember their name.
Dominion.
So there are 2 congressmen, one woman and one man from California, who've come out and they sent letters to like 12 prominent cable companies around the country and said, are you planning to drop Fox News and these other right-wing news outlets, not as prominent? And I just like, is this where we've gotten in the world, that anyone who has a different opinion of us just needs to be silenced? Notwithstanding the fact that Fox News has been like the leader in primetime news ratings for something like 19 consecutive years or something. And they took a big dip in right after the election because some of the militant Trump supporters were mad at Fox News, and they went to some of the other ones. And now here we are in March, and they're back atop the ratings, and it was kind of like some of the people like, and then talking to you, and then here they're all back. So, but the mindset of our world right now, that if you disagree with me, you're not allowed to talk, goes against everything. First of all, it goes against everything America stands for. And second of all, it is such a bad idea in anything, in business, in parenting, in coaching basketball. If you surround yourself with people who only agree with you, you are in for a disaster, because you need somebody sometime to say, yeah, maybe we should look at it from this side, because your side might not be the best way. If you don't have Mr. Devil's Advocate or Mr. or Mrs. Devil's Advocate around you, there's a problem. So this idea that we're going to make the world better by canceling Fox News or CNBC, whichever side you're on, is so absurd. But that's where we are. Welcome to 2021.
So one of this is like snarky kind of, I don't even know if I'm a millennial or not, but like snarky millennial, my favorite part about this is the disconnect that they believe taking you off of a cable service is going to stop you in 2021. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't be, I'm not saying that it wouldn't be a hit. Like, I'm not saying that if Fox News got pulled from cable, that Fox News wouldn't look around and be like, oh, well, we got to figure this out. I'm just saying that the idea that like they wouldn't just move it to streaming, there wouldn't be an app, that wouldn't be on your Amazon Fire TV, like the idea that you wouldn't just move to YouTube, like the idea that people are sitting around and really putting time and energy into getting Fox News off of cable as if that would destroy Fox News. They've completely missed the whole boat of the world we're living in and how this really works.
Yeah, that's a very valid point that I hadn't thought of it. And what was funny is I was watching Bill Maher, Bill Maher's an interesting guy. I don't know if he's essentially liberal, but he rips on California every day, which is the most democratic state we have.
And he has Republicans on constantly. Even though his show is based on the left side, he constantly has Republicans on. It's hard to find a show where he doesn't have a right-sided conservative on the show.
He does. And when they brought this up, because he brought it up and said how ridiculous it is, and then one of the guys started rattling off, well, are we going to drop MSNBC when they said this? Are we going to drop ABC News for when they did this? And he rattled off lots of them that are basically like, well, there's other ones that I think one of them, I don't remember which one, so I won't say it because I don't want to get it wrong. But one of them, this one guy in the panel said had the Jeffrey Epstein story about sex with minors and didn't run it yet. And I don't know if they were waiting for something. I don't know if it was because he had influential friends or whatever. So he's like, when you start doing it, it was fascinating that was the place that I saw from. But yeah, I like Bill Maher because they have both, but because he's one of the guys that stands up and says he is a Democrat, but he will rip the Democratic Party when he feels like it's needed. So that's where I got it from. But just the whole basic principle, like you're saying something I disagree with, so you need to stop talking, is just, I mean, parents shouldn't even do that to their kids. Like, hear them out. What's your point? Because you'll be shocked at how many good points your kids have, regardless of the technology. That's what we have kids for nowadays. You're like, something's wrong with my phone. Can you fix it? And then your teenager hands it back to you in 25 seconds and says, yeah, now it's fixed. Yeah. But like, that's just incredible to me. And, you know, people fight the First Amendment. We should be able to do this. That is the basis of the First Amendment. Like, differing opinions is good. It really is good.
Yeah. Well, the key word in all of this is cancel. I think it's important to, like, you and I have talked before where I've said, I believe there's two separate types of news now. Like, you have actual news and you have opinion-based news. And one of the reasons that shows like Bill Maher works or like Last Week Tonight or anything like that, the reason it works is because when you go into it, you know, it's opinion-based news for the most part. Like, here's the topic and I'm going to give you how I feel, my side of it. And I may use some facts here or there, but really I'm pushing you towards a side because this is what I believe. And it works because people go into it and know that. The problem is a lot of these news outlets have now become opinion-based news networks without really like the forewarning or letting you know, like, hey, like, we're going to be an opinion-based network, and just instead of giving you the facts or giving you what's actually going on right now. So the word cancel bothers me because I don't think taking Fox News off is the answer. I don't think taking CNN. I don't think removing any of these things is the answer. The answer is understanding the difference between the two. What is factual-based news and what is opinion-based news? I think if we upheld these providers to a higher service, to a higher standard, we're like, hey, like if you're going to give opinion-based news, your audience needs to know. Like they need to know that this leans this way, this leans that way, and go for it. But on the other side, they need to know, like, this is fact-based news. We're strictly giving you the things we know, and we're not leaning it one way or the other. That's what we should be aiming towards, not to just kick people off and to just have one opinion. We should be aiming for this idea of we need to know when something is opinion-based and when something is fact-based. And wherever you get it from, great. But we need to know those things as viewers. I think that's what Congress should be pushing for. Yeah,
and the other thought that, like, telling these people, like, because the country's divided. It's 50-50. The elections, the last 2 elections have shown it. So to tell 50% of the people who watch, it is the highest rated news program in America for 2 decades.
Right.
And to tell all those viewers, nope, it's gone. And to think they're going to say, oh, okay. It's like, oh, like the game was blacked out in our area. Oh, okay, what game do we don't get the Steeler game this week? We get, oh, okay. And like, they're just going to be like, oh, that's fine. And you're deepening the chasm between the two sides. And it's so simplistic and short-sighted and just stupid. It's so stupid. But
no, I agree with you. And the great part about it is has nothing. The fact that they use Fox News is great because I think you're going to hear a lot of people that don't necessarily agree with the opinions of Fox News kind of stand up for them. Like you're going to have people that would never actually tune into Fox News, but they're going to say, like you are right now, like they shouldn't, like you can't just cancel, like you can't just get rid of them because you disagree with the opinions of Fox News.
I think I saw a headline while I was researching that there are like 4 Democratic congressmen, women who have stood up and said that. Like this is absurd. Like no, I don't care. They're on the other side, but this is absurd.
No, and it absolutely is absurd because it's not about right or left. It's about the idea of like freedom of speech and being able to like give your opinion when you want to give them. The problem, like I said, is we've just gone into this world where opinions matter more than the facts. And I think what Congress should be really trying to push for is like, how do we sort this out? And how do we in a world of social media and in a world where there's constantly screens in front of us, how are we going to make sure that people can distinguish the difference between opinion and fact? And that's something like, and that's not just a Congress or like a media thing. Like schools need to do a better job of teaching it. Like we're in a different world now. Like when schools were created in the 70s and 80s, like they didn't have to teach you, like that wasn't something they talked about. Like the idea that you would ever have to turn on the news and you yourself would have to decipher what is fact versus what is opinion. Nowadays, like the kids that are going up through now, that's what their entire basis, like how they look at things is going to be determined by, can they actually decide what is fact and opinion and how do I make up my mind on that? They need to do a better job. So just in general, everybody needs to do a better job of it. Congress canceling cable network subscriptions from programming is insane. It makes no sense.
Someday when we want to have no viewers, we're going to go through and we're going to do a whole show on how they need to change the election process and because I think it starts with there and just disseminates from, because when you have people that just tear each other apart, like Kamala didn't have anything good to say about Joe Biden while they were running against each other. Right. And then all of a sudden she's his running mate and now they're in love. And it's just like, people aren't that stupid.
No, we should talk about schooling.
Well, let me paraphrase that. Most people, there are some that buy it, but most people aren't that stupid.
No, we should talk about schooling too, because I think that plays a huge part. And
I agree.
And even tying in the politics and the voting system, the way that school was created and our inability to just like revamp it. Like we're so stuck in the structure that was created back in a time where like people didn't even have, like the internet didn't even exist when schools were like, the basis of school was created. And the idea that like we're still kind of, now COVID's kind of changed some of it and sped it up, but the idea that we just had this like mortar brick schooling system and just like stuck to it as long as we did, no wonder people can't decipher the difference between what's real and what isn't. Like I don't know. So we can go into that sometime too.
And no one will watch that one either, but we'll have a lot of answers.
So anything else before we head off? Martin wanted to joke with us. They won't allow your videos on Facebook. You have been censored, and I'm probably going to go to Facebook jail. So Martin's in on the gag. He sees it too.
Probably.
So thank you guys for watching Midday Show. We appreciate it. At NorthcentralPa.com. Go to the Facebook group. Join, follow along. We have some new sponsors coming up next month. We're excited for them. And as always, thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Buffalo Wild Wings. And we are excited.
We will see you tomorrow.
I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Thanks for watching the Midday Show at NorthcentralPA.com.